Okay, guys, we're back this week. I'm sorry?
What lesson do you want us to go to?
Number 2, it's hyperkeys.
Okay.
So we're still in hyperkeys. And I think this is where we left off last week, was insert and overtype. Okay? Do you guys have any questions about the stuff that we've covered so far? Hopefully you've been messing with this stuff, kind of figuring it out or whatever. That's the whole point of doing this, guys. You know, I don't tell you every week just because, you know, and I told you that last week. I don't tell you because I get paid extra to tell you. You know, the whole point of taking this class is to learn how to use this software to your advantage. It's only going to help you, okay? So it's only going to cut down your editing time. It's also going to help your real time and stuff like that. So you really need to move this stuff, use this stuff as much as you can, and whenever you get a chance, just go into your dictionary and just start cleaning it up. Everything that you have that looks like it's a conflict or, you know, just something crazy that's in there, take it out. You know, if it comes up again and you stroke it like that again, then you can put it in there again, and, you know, so you can always, but if it's something that's going to conflict with something else, you know, whether it be a prefix or a suffix, and it keeps putting it on a word because, you know, it's in there wrong in your dictionary, then you need to figure out why it's doing it wrong. Okay? Does that make sense? And we just had that come up today. We had one student who was stroking out how did, and it was how did fully.
How did you, yeah, it comes out of how did fully.
What was the context? How did?
It's how did you know that he was coming up at that time? And even
how did you know that he was coming up at that time? And the stroke was coming up, how did fully? All in one stroke.
Actually, how died fully.
Yeah, how died fully or whatever. And it was because one of her strokes was in her dictionary wrong. So it's no big deal, you know. But if you don't know and it keeps coming up like that, you're going to keep having that same problem. Okay? So, you know, if you see conflicts in the stuff when you're writing, practicing, whatever, that's the time to go in and you know, mess with this stuff and fix it. Okay? So any questions about any of the stuff that we've gone over? How do you get into hyperkeys?
You click on her.
No, I don't want you to click on anything. What's a speed key?
Oh, control speed.
Anyone?
Alt-Z.
Alt-Z. Alt-Z gets you into hyperkeys. Okay? Bless you. Very important, guys. You know, the hyperkeys is, and you'll see, you know, the more that we go through it, that it's really a good thing, and it really speeds everything up. Okay? You can do everything right at your fingertips. Okay? Okay, this week we're going to talk about insert and overtype. Okay? When you're in hyperkeys, and let's just say you dropped, and you know that you dropped or whatever, and it needs to go in there, or you have a really bad stroke that you just, it's like, you know what, I don't even know what I was doing there. You know, I added 3 extra letters in there that I know it shouldn't even go into my trash dictionary. You know, and I was just writing sloppy or whatever. No big deal. Type it in. And the way that you type it in is in. In for insert. And like I told you guys, Eclipse tries to put the letters closest to what you're trying to do so that you can try to remember them a little bit easier. D for delete, A is for caps. But I mean, you know, they try to put a lot of the things closest to what the letter represents, okay? So in is for insert, or what they do is new text. So it's just new text that you're going to put in there. So that's why the in, okay? And it's inserting, replacing text, whatever. So I mean, you can do any of that stuff. Okay, so once you press hyperkey in to type new text, your computer keyboard's behavior will depend on whether the insert or the overtype mode is indicated on the status bar on the bottom of your screen. And I'll show you that in just a second. They're going to show you that in the visualizer. But it all depends on this, guys, right here. Whether it's an insert or overtype. Remember that, okay? And you'll understand once we watch it, okay? These typing modes toggle in response to the insert key on your keyboard. So right there on your keyboard, look down, and you should have an insert key. On your keyboard. Okay, it's the 0 on the number pad on the right hand side. Do y'all see that? Yeah?
I found insert, just, it says insert.
Oh, whoa. You don't have to brag about it.
There you go.
So wherever your insert key is, you know, for me, you know, on mine it's on the 0, you know, whatever, so no big deal. That controls whether it's an insert or overtype. So it does the same thing with that same key, okay? So when you're in insert mode, typing in new text just pushes old text over to the right. So as you know, it's like a regular Word product. I mean, you know, when you're working in Word and you start typing, it just moves the word over. You know, when you're typing to the left and there's already a word to the right, all it does is keep moving it over. Overtype types new text and replaces the old text until you come to the end of that first word. So what it's going to do is it's going to keep typing over that word. So maybe you didn't want that word deleted. You know, that's how you fix it, is you're in overwrite mode, okay? But maybe you want to be in there. Maybe you do want to overtype that word, and that's fine. That's how you do it, okay? We're going to watch the visualizer.
Then if you overtype a word and the word you're changing it to is longer than what you initially started, will it continue into the next word, or will it just...
No, it'll stop right there, and it'll start moving it over, but it'll go to the end of that word. So say you have mischaracterization, it's going to type over that whole word, okay? So it'll show you right here.
Let's see how insert mode and overtype mode affect typing in text. Text. Here insert mode is on.
I'm going to go ahead and explain it to you right here. This is where it is. So at the bottom of your screen, you should have it. You'll have it somewhere. You can see it has either INS or OVR. It should be on everyone's computer. You see it? Okay, that's what they're talking about.
And the indicators are that the toolbar icon looks pushed in, and there's also an INS visible on the status bar at the bottom of the screen. When I begin typing, the new letters get inserted.
You see what it just did? It's moving this word over, and that's exactly what you pretty much want it to do, okay? But if you don't, then it's going to be in the overtype mode. But usually when you're in insert, which you should be in insert most of the time, but if you're not, and it's typing over the word, then that's why. It's because you're in overtype. But when you're in regular insert mode, that's what it's going to do. Just allow you to start typing, and the word just moves over to the right.
In front of the old ones. And when I press the Enter key, that chops off the rest of the word that I was replacing. Here, overtype.
Did y'all see what it did right there too? So once you get to the end of that word, I mean, you can space and have that space if you wanted to keep that word. Okay? I'll back it up a little bit.
I was replacing. Here, overtype key, that chops off the rest of the word that I was replacing in front of the old one.
Okay, it has it right there, and if you want to chop that word off, press Enter. Takes you back into hyperkeys. Enter again, deletes that word. But if you want that word to stay there, where is there about this, that statement, and it's supposed to be there, then all you do is move over one space, and the word still stays. Okay?
Once, when I press the Enter key, that chops off the rest of the word that I was replacing. Here, overtype mode is on, which you can tell because there's an OVR visible on the status line at the bottom of the screen, and because the toolbar icon does not look pushed in. When I start typing to replace this word, each letter overtypes the one that's there.
You see what it's doing? Does everyone see what it's doing? I want to back it up just a bit if you didn't.
This word, each letter overtypes the one that's there, and then the new letters push on as necessary.
And you see how it just keeps moving this one over? So it doesn't keep going and keep overwriting your whole text. What it's going to do is just overwrite that word, okay? It's going to overwrite the word that you were right in front of, okay? And that's all there is to insert and overwrite, okay? Pretty simple, but if you've never messed with it before and you don't know about it, it'll freak you out the first time because it's typing over your text and then it's like, oh my God, and then you don't know how to get out of it. You know, then you have to call support, and 45 minutes later when they call you back, you know, you could have already been done with that thing. So, you know, this is how insert and overtype. And you control it the same way through the insert key on your keyboard. Okay? Any questions about that?
I can't get mine to do the overwrite. I can just get the INS insert on mine. See how it's only INS, and I tried to move here.
I bet yours is function. Do function. Still not doing it. I don't know. Computers and this weird stuff here. You know what? Shut it down and then come back up. Yeah. Let's try it here.
If you don't hit insert, is it the Alt V that you would hit? Is that the hyper key?
No, that shows the visual.
Okay.
Yeah, so when, that just shows the little movie. Can everybody do it? Can everybody insert, overwrite? Is everybody doing that okay? And it goes to overwrite, insert,
You
change?
just keep hitting the insert button.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, it might just be, it needs to
It
be
might be like
reset. All right. Okay, they have a little exercise right here, and you can kind of do it on your own time or, you know, whatever. So, I mean, it's really no big deal. But really what they want you to do is insert the word new before each instance of program in the following paragraph. Just use your arrow keys to move where necessary, then press N, type new, and a space, then press enter. So it's telling you to come right here. You should be in hyperkeys. So press N, N-E-W, and then you can push enter, then a space. But if you don't put that space, because they're talking about, so what's this new program you're learning? And that's what they want. So they don't want you to put, what's this new you're learning? You understand what I'm saying right there? Okay? They want you to put new in front of program, you know, every time.
When I have it in hyperkeys and I go to start typing, it puts it in type mode. It takes it out of hyperkey.
Yeah. So N does that.
Yeah.
N. So, you know, when you're in hyperkeys, which, you know, shows you right here, you're in hyperkeys. The large cursor, the fat cursor, shows you that you're in hyperkeys, you know, right there. But, I mean, if you just go to texting and you wanted to type the daring program and you push D, well, D in hyperkeys is delete. So you just deleted that word. No big deal. Type Z. Z is the oops key, brings it back. It's like, oh, you know what? Now I know what it was. It was, so what's this new daring program? And it's like, oh, it's N. So it's D-A-R-I-N-G program.
Okay, what if you're like, okay, I'm gonna change it, I decided not to. I go back into hyperkeys. Let's say I didn't make a change, but I was going to, so I hit N already. And then
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm not making a change. I go back into hyperkeys?
Just push enter and it'll take you back in. So say you're right here, it's new program and it's supposed to be daring, and you push in and you're like, oh, you know what? See, and it already knows. The last time you were right there by program, it already knew that you typed new. Remember we talked about that last week? So it remembers what you typed in every time. So now every time program, and I'm going to come back and show you, every time program comes up, it's going to put new and it's going to make it easier for you. Okay? But say you're right there and you're like, oh, you know what? I don't need to put anything because new is already there. Press enter and then just backspace. It already knows because you've already put new there. So it's going to put new.
But we don't need to be in hyperkeys when we're typing this, right? Because if we're in hyperkeys, none of our letters are the same. Our letters actually do an action or
Yeah.
function. So we don't need to be in hyperkeys.
You don't want to be in hyperkeys if you're trying to type in
And
some.
as an insert.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, you know, let's just come down here, and every time that there's program, you need the new in there. So you type in N, it already knows. Last time that you were right there by program, it typed in new up here. Y'all remember that? I came down here, that's a totally different program. And then you just put a space. So all you do is push in, it puts the new there, press enter, space, and then you have new program. Okay? Did y'all see what I did? So now I'm going to come down to this one, N, enter, space, good to go.
Mine doesn't pull in like that.
It's not pulling it in like
It's
that?
not giving me the last word in it.
Okay. So what you need to do, what's it giving you? You must have typed something else in.
I mean, I typed the new there, and then when I came here, so I just haven't ever put it there. I'm not in hyperkeys. And
Come up to this person. It should be in hyperkeys. So press N, new, EW, enter, space. Okay, now come down to the next program. Right here. In, see, put new, enter, space, good to go. You got it?
Look at this one, I'm going like that.
No. Delete B. B. Or that, whatever.
Maybe is that, oh, you meant the actual D.
Okay, you have the cursor there, so
Yeah.
you want to type it in, press N. It's not on the D. N-E-W. Enter. Space. I'll come down to the next program. N. N-E-W. Enter. Space. Come down to the next program. Okay. Enter. I mean, N. See if that was there.
And then from there.
Enter.
I do enter?
Enter, space, there you go. So if it's not doing it, you know, the first time, it's because you did something already. You know, so if it's coming up with something else, you know, then you already did it, you already did something to it. And that's why it wasn't coming up for some of them. And then, what you want to do is you don't want to come up here and say it was, you know, this was the sentence that was already there. You know what? Yeah, this was a sentence that was already there. So what's this new daring program? So every time they have program, new and daring, new in program, they want you to type daring. Okay, no big deal. So you're here, D-A-R-I-N-G, enter, space, okay? So you come down to the next program, you know what, they want me to put it there, enter, now it's there, okay? Enter, space, puts it there. So now it doesn't remember new anymore, okay? Now it's the next word that's there. So now it remembers that every time that you go to program, okay? Pretty neat stuff right there, okay?
So it's the difference though of doing enter space rather than space enter.
Rather than space enter. That's the complete difference right there. Because if you come up here and you type this brand new. So now they want you to do brand. So you do enter, B-R-A-N-D, space, enter. It's not going to remember it. Enter, it doesn't remember anything. Because you put the space. So it doesn't remember anything that you just did right then. Because you put the space before you push enter. What you do is you put the word, enter, then the space, and it remembers. And that's if you want to change it every time that that word comes up. You know, and saying they're talking about this new daring program, but all you put was new program. So you have to put daring in there, you know, then it'll remember it every time. So every time you go to program, and you can search it out. You can search it out, and just what you do is you push F5 and that finds it. Okay? Well, you know what? I want to see every time that I did program, I want it to go to that. Enter, it goes to the next program. Control L takes you to the next program. So every time you have program, so say you needed to change it in every one, and say they had it 74 times in that deposition you took. Well, you don't have to go through and, you know, with the arrow down, trying to look for program every time. F5. F5, push it. F5 is find and replace. Okay? Got it?
So I would use that for doing a mass correction.
No, if you just want to find something.
Oh.
Like say you lost your place, you moved around a little bit, and now your Z in hyperkeys doesn't work and take you back to the last place. No big deal. Well, I know that I was typing in new program. So I know that it was program, and it was the first time that they had said it. That was the first time they had said program. The first and only time they probably said it in that depot. They were talking about a new program. You can go to page 1. It doesn't even matter. Go to page 1, which is Alt-G. Do it now. Alt-G. Go to page. You can go to page 1. So I'll show you right here. Go Alt-G, 1, takes you to the very top of the thing. Well, it should. But it doesn't. Yeah, it did. It did. It just didn't show it on the arrow. So now I want to find where they were talking about the program. You know what? You can do it right there. P-R-O-O-G-R-A-M. Enter. Takes you to program. Okay? It's going to take you to the first time that they talked about program. So that's how you find it. Got it? Pretty neat stuff right there. You know, if you've never done it, it's kind of elementary. I mean, it seems elementary, but if you've never done it, you know, you're not going to understand how to do it, if that makes sense. And then if that's not the program that you want, then it's Control L and takes you to program every time. Every other program. Okay? Any questions about that?
So Control L will take you to the ones that come, like, that come
After.
consecutively after. Is there a command that takes it backwards? Like if you skip past one, you I repeated that one. And
Yeah, you go to F5, and then you can go anywhere at the beginning, the end, the whole word, I'm sorry, appearing in a paragraph or in a print command. So any of those things. So this thing is pretty neat, and that's why I tell you guys, use it. You know, use it in your practice and stuff like that. Because if you mess it up, it's no big deal. If you don't remember how to get out of it, no big deal. You come back, you know, the next Wednesday and you say, sir, I was using it. I went to this thing and I couldn't get out of it. I was in overtime mode and I couldn't remember how to get out. Okay. You type insert again. Hit insert. Oh, yeah, that's right. But if you don't use it, you remember it for a second, then you lose it. So that's why I'm saying the more you use it, the more you're going to remember, and the more you're going to actually remember to use it. Okay? That makes sense? You better. All right, now they're going to talk about type over tracking.
Let's see what's meant by type over tracking. If I place my cursor on a word and press hyperkey N to type in new text, then, after typing, press the Enter key a couple of times to chop off the type over, Total Eclipse remembers the replacement. User settings, programming, type over tracking.
So if you want to change it, and every time they had shorts, you want authorities, that's what they're talking about right here, is type over tracking, and it'll track it every time. Every time. Okay? And it was kind of like what I was explaining to you just a second ago about it remembering. That's type over tracking too. It remembers the word that you put right before the other one. Okay? So, except when you hit enter, it takes you back in, you push space if you want to keep the word, or you press enter twice and it deletes that word. So every time that you have shorts, every time you put your cursor on shorts, because you want it to be authorities, and it was just a misstroke that you did, then what you can do is go to shorts every time, hit enter, and it's going to bring up authorities. You hit enter twice, enter once, takes you back into hyperkeys, enter twice, chops the word completely off. So it's different than what I just showed y'all, okay? Remember what I just showed you? About how you type the word, hit enter, get you back into hyperkeys, put the space. Now the two words go together because you wanted them together. So now every time that they had program, you wanted new program, it put new, type enter, puts you back into hyperkeys, space, puts it in there. Type over tracking on this is saying, you know what, every time I did shorts, it was completely wrong. It should have been authorities every time. So what it's telling you is, N for insert, type it in, hit enter, put you back into hyperkeys, enter again, deletes that word. Okay?
This line was added automatically. Let's see what it means. If I place my cursor on this same word somewhere...
So what it's telling you right now is that you can actually put something in here to where every time that you go there, it's going to replace it with authorities. Okay? I'm going to back it up just a bit to kind of show you. And it's inside of your programs under user.
Will it automatically do it, or do you have to go to each one?
I think it does it. I think it does it automatically. I'll be honest with you guys. I don't really use it. I've never really used it, but I mean it's actually pretty neat. The one that I use is the one that I showed you. Typing it in, enter, space, keeping the word.
How is this different than just globaling, like changing a word with like?
And you could.
I mean, is that going to get
pretty much?
Okay.
Yeah, pretty much. It's just that this remembers every time. So that was the type over tracking.
Okay.
So instead of globaling it, say that is your stroke for shorts, but you hit authority every time,
Yeah.
or authorities. You need it to say authorities, but it's coming up shorts. But you use this brief for this authorities because they were talking about it so much, and your authorities is a 3-stroker, let's just say. You know? But you were hearing authority is THOERT. is mine. That's how I stroke authority. But let's just say, for some reason, unbeknownst to me, I was striking it S-O-E-R-T-S. S-O-E-R-T every time, which is short. Okay? That's my stroke for short. But every time I heard it, I was doing it. Let's just say I was having that kind of day. It's going to come up every time that it was short. Or you could do authorities. You can do it T-H-O-E-R-T-S, authorities. But I was doing it S-H-O-E-R-T-S. And I did it every time. And they were talking about the authorities throughout the whole thing because it was a police officer and whatever, and the authorities showed up and they said it 84 times in this doggone depot. So every time you have shorts, you know, it needs to be replaced. So one, like my assistant said, you can go through and global it and just put it in a job dictionary, and then every time it came up shorts, but maybe they were talking about the Shorts authorities. Maybe there's a little town called Shorts, and it's Shorts authorities were coming every time, and you were writing it shorts. And for some reason, you in your mind and in your fingers, it felt right. That's where this would, it's not really going to come in handy either, you know, because
then it would make it authorities.
it's going to make it authorities if you go in there and try to global it, okay? But if you go in there and do the thing that I told you to do, that every time you take it to shorts, type over, put authorities, then it will. Press enter, enter again, takes it off, okay? So you're going to know which shorts to go to. You're going to know that the first shorts was the name of the town, and the other shorts should have been the authorities. So shorts should have been shorts authorities. So you just, you know, go down, and as you're reading it, oh, this is where. Put your cursor on there, hit N for insert, already puts authorities up there, enter, enter. Enter puts you back in the hyperkeys, enter chops off the other word. Make sense? So it's pretty neat. I mean, you know, in instances like that. But like you were talking about here, if they're just talking about shorts, it's no big deal. But, I mean, you misstroked it every time. You can global it. But what they're talking about today is overtrap typing. Okay? So there is an easier way, but...
Overtracking. This line was added automatically. Off the type over, Total Eclipse remembers the replacement. User settings.
So, I mean, if you want to use that, this is how you do it. Go into Alt-U, which brings you into your user settings. Go into Programming, type over tracking, OK. Then it's going to bring you into this.
Type over tracking. This line was...
And that's going to bring you to this box right here, type over tracking. Well, what, you know, is there anything in there? Do y'all have anything in yours? It should probably.
It's got a lot of numbers.
It does?
Oh, well, I think it's...
You're in type over tracking?
Yeah, I think it has to be because I'm within the tutorial. It's pulling up text from within the...
Yeah, and it could be. But this is what it looks like. So you can add one, you can find one, or you can modify one, okay? So say it's this, and say it needs to be, instead of authorities, it needs to be department. Every time authorities was there, it should have been department. Oh man, you know what? I typed it wrong. Modify, gonna bring you up here. You just type in department over authorities. Okay?
Added automatically. Let's see what it means. If I place my cursor...
So it's gonna bring you right here. So say you go into modify, it's gonna bring you into here. This is what it's gonna look like. What was the original text? It was shorts. What was the replacement? It was authorities. Well, you know what? Shorts is correct because that was the stroke that I hit, but I need to change it to department. Put your cursor in here, change it to department. Okay.
On this same word somewhere else in my transcript. Eclipse will offer to automatically replace it for me and save me some typing. Let's see it in action. I'll place my cursor here and press hyperkey N. There's the type-over suggestion. It may look a bit distracting, but it could certainly save me some typing. To accept the suggestion, just press the Enter key. Otherwise, start typing. There's no need to press extra keys like Escape or Backspace just to get rid of the type-over suggestion.
You understand what it's telling you there? So say you get in there and this time you don't want authorities. No big deal. It's just giving you an example because it remembered the last time that you did shorts, that you started typing here with shorts, then you typed in authorities. No big deal. Just start typing, authorities goes away. You don't have to press escape. You don't have to press enter, backspace, in again, because it's going to bring up authorities again, you know. So you just start typing, okay? And that's what it was telling you right there. I'm going to back it up a little bit.
Only save me some typing. To accept the suggestion, just press the Enter key. Otherwise, start typing. There's no need to press extra keys like Escape or Backspace just to...
See how it took authorities away and he just started typing in short again? Shorts.
Get rid of the type-over suggestion. Also, keep in mind that if you type in a new word and press the space bar, that's not considered a type-over that needs to be tracked.
So by pressing the space bar, doesn't track it anymore, okay? So that's what I was telling you earlier. So once you put the cursor right there by the word, type it in, press the space, it doesn't remember what you did because it's not tracking anything. Does that make sense? If it doesn't, tell me. Make sense? So if you push the space bar, it's not going to remember what you did. But like I was telling you, you push enter, get back in the hyper keys, then press the space bar, then it's going to remember what you did. Okay? But if you push the space bar, then enter, then it's not going to remember what you did.
Okay, so enter first will always remember whether or not you do enter space or enter.
Enter is going to delete it.
Yeah.
It's going to remember it, but it's going to delete it. So you have to be real careful with what you want. If you're just inserting the word and you want the word there, but you want to keep the other word, but you want it to remember that every time this other word came up, that you inserted this new word, you want it to remember it there. Okay? Does that make sense?
And
Okay.
from global,
Sir?
from global, because you said you can do this in global as well.
Well, the global is a little bit different.
Okay.
The global, once you global it, it's going to global it throughout the whole thing.
Mhm.
So every time you had, say you had shorts, and you wanted shorts authorities, and you go in there and you global the first shorts and you say, you know what, every time shorts comes up, I want a department. Now it's going to say department. So you have to be careful with, you know, what you're doing. And this is where type over tracking comes into play, because it's going to remember that every time you went to shorts, whether it be the first one or the second one, it doesn't remember that. It doesn't remember that you went to the first shorts or the second shorts. It just remembers that you went to shorts. Okay? Does that make sense? But on the second shorts, you needed to say authorities or department. Well, you already type over tracked it once, hit enter, space, it remembered. Or you press the enter twice and it deleted the other one. Well, every time you go to shorts, it's going to remember that you put department in there. No problem. You go to the second shorts every time that it's in there, press N, brings up department, enter, wipes out the shorts. Now you have shorts department. Make sense? All right.
Type in a new word and press the space bar. That's not considered a type-over that needs to be tracked. One final note. Type-over tracking is a typing feature. It's not a global replacement or a dictionary entry. Normally, the system is constantly tracking your type-overs, but you can lock entries in your type-over tracking table, which is symbolized by an exclamation point. Here I've added these two lines because my steno for doesn't and accident is almost identical. I don't want to create a conflict entry in my dictionary, but I do want a fast way to insert the replacement text from time to time.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Does it?
Well, I just want to know, so there when you lock that entry in,
Mm-hmm.
and that's just gonna put it in there permanently so that you can quickly change it out?
Yeah.
So how would I go about it? Because I always screw up parent and a parent.
Up here?
A parent, like parent, a parent. Those two for me get
A-
me.
It's a
APPARENT,
This
a parent?
is so, and a parent is
And then the,
to a child.
yes, and I screw those up, so if I wanted to keep.
It's the
them-
same, it's close to the same stroke for you?
Yeah, for me, parent is PAIRNT, and then a parent is PAERNT.
Really? It should be the other way around.
She's in
I think so.
Gary.
Parent should be PAERNT,
Okay.
and a parent should be two strokes. I do it in two strokes, add parent. So this way, that'll eliminate that. But if you do want to do it that way, then you can.
But this is just using tracker, it's just for this job. It's not for.
No, you can go in there and when it says
Because
lock
you can
permanently,
lock it.
So that's just for the whole dictionary. not
you
just-
can, yeah,
Okay.
And once it locks though, how do I actually go about,
unlocking it.
or, well, no, like, let's say I needed to write parent, and instead I wrote a parent accidentally.
Then you push in and then parent will come up.
Okay, so it was automatically, that's
Mhm.
what, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Are you on your laptop?
I'm sorry?
Are you on your laptop?
Yeah.
Because I think your battery's about to die, or at least it looks like it is. from
Oh,
here.
shoot. Good eye. So, I mean, pretty neat stuff right there. You know, to remember, you know, but, you know, I'm telling you guys, and you know, you saw it the other day coming Monday, but, Sarah came on Monday to see one of the students' machines and then got to sit in on the class that we give on Monday, which is for actual reporters. And it's a real-time class. And it teaches you how to write differently. And it's totally, you know, so you're not going to have this problem of parent and a parent. You know, we teach you how to write it differently, which, you know, I'm kind of getting way out, you know, because you don't need to worry about that right now. You know, you need to worry about getting your speed up and getting out of here. And then we'll fix that when you get out. But if you can kind of remember now how to write things differently, it'll help a little, you know, a little bit, especially when you go to the state test to take it, you know, with prefixes and suffixes and stuff like that. And, you know, how did fully, you know, you go to the state test and it's how did fully, you know, and you're sitting there spending a lot of time on editing on stuff that's in your dictionary that's ridiculous. It shouldn't even be in there.
And when you say write differently, I remember when we studied this theory, we would like, about, I'm just gonna say about, because that's the first word. If you stroke it out, it would be a and then bout.
Mm-hmm. AI. A-bout.
A bout, okay.
Not a, because then it's going to conflict with a.
Right.
So you're always thinking about writing differently, you know, because you want it, because AI, when you put it in your dictionary, is going to be defined as a prefix. So it's going to know to put that a on whatever. A loft, a above, you know, if you do all of those things in two strokes, which I do, I still do, you know, and I'm sure there's, but that's the way that I hear it. And when I went through school, and don't let anybody tell you this, that you can't make it through school without briefing, they're full of crap. I made it through school without briefing. I stroked out everything. Now I don't. Now, I mean, you know, it's all about working smarter, not harder now. Back then, I was just,
Wanting to get out of school.
yeah, I mean, I did what it took to get out of school. And to me, I heard it and wrote it, heard it, wrote it. And if it took two strokes, and I could write it just as fast as somebody with a brief, you know, doing two strokes. You know, it sounds a little bit crazy, but, you know, maybe just a smidge. But, I mean, it was enough for me to get out of school. So don't let anybody tell you that you have to have briefs to get out of school. I'm sorry?
And pass the test.
And pass the test. First time. Doesn't happen either very often. But So don't let anybody tell you that you can't do it. Bull. I'm living proof, and I'm not the smartest guy. I'm not the smartest guy, but
We'll use the STEM as STEM.
I may be the most full of crap guy, but no, but I mean,
Confident.
yeah. But you know, and it doesn't take the smartest person to do this, guys, and you're going to find that out, you know, because it's going to take the person with the most dedication. This thing is going to beat you down like you've never been beat down before, right? It does. But if it wasn't worth it, I wouldn't be here telling you, trying to get you guys to get out. We need you guys. You know, there's people retiring, and if nobody's there to take those jobs, well, guess what? You know, they're going to find the next best way to have court reporting done. Or not necessarily court reporting, but get a record. So if they have to get a recorder in there, then they're going to get a recorder in there. And then there goes the profession. So we need you guys as much as y'all probably need us. You know, y'all need us for the wealth of, the information that we have, you know, to help you try to get out. But I'm telling you, it's all about dedication. And it's not about, you know, when I tell you to do something, it's not about, God dang, he said do it 20 minutes, but you know what, I'm only going to do it 15 or 18 minutes. Guys, this profession is not about finding the bare minimum. It's not about doing the bare minimum. It's about doing the bare max and then going a little bit more. That's what it's about. So if you find that this is way too much, say, you know what, 20 minutes is probably too much. You're probably in the wrong profession. You know? So it's not about doing the bare minimum. It's about doing all that you think that you can and then finding more to do. So when I tell you about practicing, doing this stuff, I mean, it's taking it to the end, all the way. Okay? It's not about doing the bare minimum. All right? All right. Let's learn some more stuff. All right.
See how you can use either the mouse or keyboard commands for just about any function within Total Eclipse. Total Eclipse. The left mouse button is...
See, on a lot of these things, I think they go back and repeat a lot of stuff. So, I mean, it's, you know, I don't think we need to do this anymore. Y'all know how to use the mouse. You know how to use the icons, stuff like that. And I think they just go through and try to tell you just to kind of emphasize, you know, if you've never used a computer before and you've lived under a rock for about the last 74 years, then you're probably not going to know how to use a mouse or the icons, okay? But as computer savage as you guys are, we had a lady use that the other day in court.
Computer savage?
She was very computer savage. Yes, you are. No, but if you're not...
If you have something like that, and the person says computer savage, do you kind of put savvy in? Okay.
No. You're not there to clean them up.
She's a savage on that.
Because she may be. She may be a savage on the computer. I have no idea. And maybe she meant to say that. That's not for you to determine. Your job is to write down exactly what they say.
I said what I said.
So,
So when you're cleaning up a record like that, though, let's say you had to produce that transcript, if you came across it and you said, and you don't remember that, taking that, but you're reading it and it says, I'm very computer savage, would you be second guessing yourself, or would you just...
if I was just reading it, I
Yeah.
might.
So is that when you would go back and maybe compare it to audio?
But if you're as silly as I am, when something silly happens, you don't forget
Yeah.
it. You don't forget it. And I'm telling you, we have something silly happen in our court every day. And remind me, and I'll tell you about another one, but I'm not going to tell you while we're recording. But I mean, we have something silly happen every day. So I mean, I'm telling you, nothing gets by me. Hardly anything gets by me. So if you do something silly, and I didn't catch it or I don't make a comment on it, you got lucky. One, I'm letting you slide because it's completely silly. Or two, I didn't hear it and just be glad that I didn't. So, all right. But I mean, all of you guys know about, you know, the mouse and all of that stuff. So I'm not gonna waste time and kind of go through that again. Toolbar configurations, we already kind of went through that. You know, if you want the more icons, you know, whatever, you go to tools, come up here to tools, and might be file manager. No, it's here. I'm sorry, it's Windows. Windows, View. You can go to the status bar, any of that stuff, and it'll take you to where, you know, the little box, it has the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If you want, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 things of icons, you want every icon on there you can. Guys, I'm telling you, the bare minimum, the number one, pretty much all you need. With what I'm teaching you here in this class, everything else you can do, okay? And if not, then you just come up to these little things right here, and it gives you all kinds of other stuff. You know, for the speed keys, you know, for all of this stuff. You know, so if you want to open notes, I mean, you have the icon up here, but I mean, you already know that it's, you know, Shift F7, you know, to open notes or whatever, okay? So if you want to go to a transcript, it's Alt E. If you want to go to your block files, it's Alt R, you know, stuff like that. So if you need to go to it, you know, it shows you what the speed keys are right here. Okay? That's all the speed keys.
And we don't have to deal with block files for getting the purpose of the state test, but we'll need that for the real world
Yeah.
to work.
So when you take the next class, which is the advanced Eclipse, then we're going to show you how to do that. I'm going to show you, we're going to go over all of this stuff again, the stuff that we're doing right now, but it's going to go fast. So all of the stuff that we're doing right now, that I'm spending a whole lot of time with you guys on, we ain't doing that. We do a little refresher, then we go through all of the new stuff, and then I show you from point A to point B of getting the transcript completely out. And you're going to know how to get a transcript completely out. Unless your computer crashes and you lose all your stuff. Other than that, you will. Okay, any questions about any of the stuff that we just covered?
What most Eclipse users don't realize is that many Windows Explorer functions are available whenever you see a listing of file names. So if I highlight this file's name, I can simply press the delete key to send this file to the recycle bin. I could also highlight a file's name and either right-click or press Shift F10 to open a context menu. You notice I can rename the file from here, delete it, copy it, cut it, perhaps paste it, and there's also the option to send to the desktop to create a shortcut which will make it easy to reopen a file that won't be transcribed in a single sitting.
You understand that?
Yeah.
Pretty easy, but I mean, it's kind of has some good stuff in it. Did y'all understand it? Do y'all want me to go over it a little bit more?
Yeah, because that's like
Save the shortcuts.
when we interrupt our study, you know, whatever we're doing, and you want to go back to it right away, that's really handy.
And it's, you know, if you're working on a really, really big job, kind of comes in handy, but I mean, you really
Well, I mean,
don't.
we're supposed to produce, like at my rate, we're supposed to produce 150 pages a week
Hmm?
and 30 pages a day. And I mean, there's no way that you can do the 150 in one day. So it would be nice to be able to put the shortcut on your desktop and study for a couple of hours and then go teach a couple of piano lessons or whatever, and then be able to go back to it, yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's how you do it. So I'll play it again and kind of go through it.
What most Eclipse users don't realize is that many Windows Explorer functions are available whenever you see a listing of file names. So if I highlight this file's name, I can simply press the delete key.
So you're in the open, which is the text file, okay, which is Alt-E. So do Alt-E. Takes you to that file to open. That's where he is right there. And it's going to list all of your files. So it's going to have your block files, which we'll talk about in the next class. And then all of your job files right here. Okay, and let's say you have 90 job files. And the job that you're looking for is Valero. Well, you can come over here. It's got a little thing that you can push down or whatever. Or you just come right here and put your cursor here, type VAL, and it'll take you to every file that you have that starts with VAL. Or if it's only one file that starts with V, then you just put it on V, type V, and it's going to take you to the file V, highlight it, open it, you're good to go. Okay?
Key to send this file to the recycle bin.
So if you want to take them out, that's how you do it. Highlight it, push the delete. It goes through a couple of things because it really makes sure, it really asks you, are you sure this is what you want to do? So usually it'll ask you a couple of times, are you sure this is what you want to do? Because once it does, it'll send it to a recycle bin, but I mean, finding it in there, you know, so it just makes sure that that's what you want to do.
How much space do all these files take up? Because apparently I've never deleted one since I started school. Is that a problem?
No, I mean, it all depends. I mean, is your computer real slow? The files don't really take up a whole lot of space.
Okay.
They really don't. But I mean, you know, if it's stuff that you don't use that much, I mean, you might want to clean it up a little bit.
I mean, like, there's no reason that I need to keep every single thing. I mean, so
Yeah.
just okay.
Yeah. And like, you know, just like I was showing you guys how to read in, you know, those files, you know, where you go to help, go down to the lesson, you know, plan, whatever, highlight them, you do it the same way. So if you want to do from Arnie, you know, Dennis Arnie, all the way down to Valero, you can. Because like what I do is I have an external hard drive. So I back everything up on this external hard drive, which reminds me I need to do it. But I have an external hard drive. So what I do is I just go through, start here, and I go all the way down. So what I do is highlight the first one, do shift, arrow down, and it'll go all the way down to the bottom. And then just, you know, move them over. If you want to delete them, you can. So once you've already moved them into the file, I mean, you may need them again, you may not. But it's already on your external hard drive, so it's no big deal. You already have it backed up. So you can keep it on the computer, or you can send it to the recycle bin just to give you more space, you know, when you open your files. Make sense?
Yeah. And sorry, just I'm trying to. Organization is like, I think, probably something pretty important in this profession.
Mm-hmm.
How do you organize your actual external hard drives? Do you have or does it all just fit on one? I mean, how many hard drives do you have?
I have one, but it's huge. I mean, this thing, it's about this big.
This is terabytes.
So you can only imagine how much stuff it'll hold on that thing. I mean, it's ridiculous.
So if I was wanting to completely wipe my computer at some point, if like a ton of, let's say I'm working and I've got a ton of files, it would be smart to have it on 2 of those giant hard drives. One is a backup in case that hard drive crashed, if I'm gonna be deleting it off my computer, because then there's no more backup in that.
Probably wouldn't be bad. I only have one, but, I mean, that probably wouldn't be bad. But I wouldn't keep them both at your house
Yeah.
in the same place. Because if something happens to one, it's gonna happen to the other. So it just kind of defeated the purpose of backing it up.
Okay.
Do we get
So-
them like at Best Buy or someplace like that?
Yeah, Office Depot, you know, any of those places, and just tell them that you want an external hard drive. And they're real easy.
Small ones, yeah, these
I just
mine
heard
are-
Yeah, they have some really small ones. I mean, they have some really small ones that hold a lot of stuff
About the
too.
size of a deck of cards,
Yeah,
100 gig.
yeah, now they have them like in terabytes,
I have
like,
terabytes, I
yeah.
have a bunch of music files. Question for you, so from here, are you able to send a file from Eclipse via email to somebody?
Yeah,
And when they open it in their Eclipse, it'll pull up with your steno notes and,
no,
okay.
no,
So they
It'll
have
just
PDF.
pull up. like-
it's just gonna pull it up.
Okay.
Well, actually, you know what? There is a way to send it. There is a way to send it, because if you want to send it to,
Let's go.
yeah, you can send your WAV files, you can send everything to
Or
them.
send it to yourself so you can work on it in
Yeah.
another place.
And I want to take it from home to work, I don't do that. I carry my computer usually, which is probably pretty dumb, because, you know, there's just a lot of easier ways to do it now, and I just feel like doing it on, you know, on my computer is a lot easier to me. Keeping it on the same computer, but, I mean, there's a lot easier ways of doing it. So we're gonna go through that, where you can zip files and you can, you know, send them, you know, to other people, to your scopist and whatever. But, you know, when you're sending it to, like, an attorney, you don't wanna send it like that, because you don't want them to be able to go through and change that thing. Once you send it to them, like in a PDF file, it's done. You know, so they can't go in there and change it and stuff like that, mess with it. You know, once it's sent to them, it's done. So they just print it, and then if they want to, they can write on it, but they're not gonna go through and change it. But if you send them one of these files, you know, with everything on it, they can go through and change the whole thing. You know, it has your notes, it has the WAV file, and the WAV file is the voice recording, stuff like that. So, you know, you wanna be careful, you don't wanna do that.
So would you be able to make it real versus just words that we do in class? Email an actual transcript for us to like maneuver through versus just theory words?
Yeah. I don't think I could do it, just because of the stuff that we do, that we deal with kids. I don't know that I could do it.
Well, maybe tomorrow you can get somebody to write for you. Because basically you want something to be able to work with.
That actually makes sense versus 3 sentences here, 10 sentences here, and a bunch of words. Even though I get the concept of this is all I'm trying to do, move and navigate, but
The only problem I foresee with that is that, you know, you're gonna be working with somebody else's method of writing. And that, you know.
And it doesn't matter how long it takes you to write. I mean, just go on there and just, I don't care if it takes you 4 hours to write 3 paragraphs, 4 paragraphs, it doesn't matter. Just get some stuff on there and just start messing with this stuff. Globalin stuff.
Pick up a stat pack to get what you want to be writing. If you can just grab one of those and you'll get what you want to write, so that it'll be like a transcript form.
Yeah. But, you know, like my stuff, and I wouldn't mind sending it to you, but I mean, our things are like sealed, you know, so, I mean, because it deals with kids, actual people, you know, and, you know, who knows if it's somebody that you know.
unredacted.
Yeah. So, we kind of have to be careful with those files and stuff like that, but that's how you do it.
I could also highlight a file's name and either right-click or press Shift F10 to open a context menu.
So this is what it's going to do. So you can zip it, you can send it to, what is what you were talking about, Valerie, is that you can send it to your desktop. So you can make a shortcut, send it to your desktop, and then open it every time. Seems a little bit crazy, but if it's a file that you're going to use that week a lot, maybe, and then, once you're done with it, all you do is go onto that file that's there, or, that little, the file, right-click it and then delete it. But, the good thing about Eclipse is that, like I told you, once you've worked in it, you shut it down, you go back in, it's going to be the first job right there. Once you open up, it gives you the last job that you worked in just about every time. 99.8% of the time, okay?
So if you have a case that possibly goes maybe into recess 3 or 4 times, or say it's a couple of days, do you start a new document, or do you just continue on in the same?
We do it on a different, because it's different days. So now you've just started like volumes. But, like if I'm going to use the same dictionary, then, like we went in, all I do is use the dictionary from that day before, read it into there, because it's going to be the same, probably the same players, a lot of the same words, the same briefs that you've been using for companies or medicines or whatever are going to be in there. So you want to put that same dictionary in there, put it in your real time, where the dictionary, it's reading the dictionary, and then it'll know that it's reading it. But it's going to be a different volume. You can't make it the same volume. Now you can use it for like a morning and an afternoon. Say, we're doing an all-day trial, we break for lunch. All you do is put a little parenthetical in there, whereupon lunch was had, and then you pick up right there. So there's no need to put, to do another file.
Do you name your files before you open them or before you're close to them?
Huh?
Well, because like if we open a real time
Yeah.
one here and then we just close it, it's going to be our 11161. So at what point do you name them for organizational purposes?
When you get out, it asks you if you want to name it. It asks you if you want to name it R111643. Should. Every time you get out of Eclipse, it should ask you if you want to name it.
It says this translation in progress. Would you like to stop the translation?
Yeah?
Yes. And it says okay.
Yeah, it doesn't ask us.
It doesn't
Is
ask.
that
Really?
just for student versions?
And it could be. It could be that it's a student version, because
So
they
how
don't want
would
you to
we-
save anything, or I don't
So we
know.
can't name them?
Well, no,
Well, you
we-
can, and that's what it's telling you right here. You can go in there, and then it says rename it. So
when
go
you
into your
export it,
Alt
you have
E.
to rename
Alt
it so that we can print it up for our test.
Alt E?
Yeah.
And where do I'm in Alt E.
So I've got a file open that I would like to name something.
You know what the file's name is now? It's that.
That.
RT0.
Okay.
Okay, get out.
Everything's RTC.
Yeah.
Just,
You need me to close it?
yeah. Oh, no. Stay in Eclipse. Okay, go to Alt E. Hold on. Alt E. You remember what the name of the file is?
Shows that one.
Okay, highlight it. Right click. Rename. F7. Are you sure you want to name it that? Yes.
Says that file.
Are you sure you worked it?
It was this.
Right click, you said?
Yeah.
So it's already renamed it.
Yeah.
It did rename it. Okay. And then if I close
So
out
go
of
back
it.
in it again. Go there. Alt E. Alt E.
Okay.
Go into it. So you just highlight it, right click, rename, and
So
then
that's
you can
the
go
way to
to,
do it for now.
on the student version, I
So that was
guess.
my question that I wanted to email you on during the week, because
What's that?
every time I go in, I have all these RTs, and I'm like,
Yeah.
how do I name each file?
Yeah. So go in,
Yeah.
you wanna name it?
No, I mean, now I
And
know I
really
can
what
go
it's
through
gonna
and
be easiest
organize
to,
them,
is
right?
just name it to the date,
Yeah,
probably.
and that's what I was
Because,
gonna
you know,
go
if
through.
it's something that you're working on that day, but I mean, if you know that it's a job that, that you're working on, and say it's, test 4, then just name it test 4.
Okay.
Or practice 1, practice 4, you know, whatever. So they're gonna go in consecutive order. So every time, you know, so it's like, well, what am I in, practice? But, I mean, once you start moving semesters, then it's gonna get harder, because then it's like, well, now it's practice 797.
Then you can just do a folder.
Yeah, so then you
that goes
just-
in there, right?
yeah.
Okay.
Okay, that answers a lot of questions.
Okay? So that's how you do it. Just right-click, rename. You can create a shortcut, which is what we were talking about. You can delete it, copy it, cut it, send it to.
But for future working purposes, you're saying when you go to close yours at the end of the day, like a Word document, it has a way for you to name how you want to save it.
Well, see, I've already named it. Because like when I go in and I'm not writing real time that day, I've already gone in. So if you're writing real time that day, other than the student version, it's already gonna ask you, what do you want to name it,
Oh, before you do anything, it's gonna.
before you close
So
it.
do you not always write real time?
No,
Oh.
not every day. So, you know, if I'm not writing real time that day, then, and I need to go through, which is what I showed y'all, I take the little SD card, read it in, read in the notes. Well, I need the notes from 3/3/15. Okay, read in the notes, it reads the notes. Now it asks me, what do you want to name it? Well, I want to name it 3/3/15 because I know 3/3/15/2 is going to be the afternoon, but 3/3/15 for me is the morning because that's how I do it. So I named the notes, it's already named that. So now when you go to translate, it's asking you, well, what do you want to translate? Well, I want to translate my job, which is called 3/3/15, or if you want to name it Valero, or, you know, if you're taking a deposition, you know, and it's Mr. Valero or Mr. Garcia, and you want to name it, you know, Luther Garcia, name it Luther Garcia, then you're ready to go.
Okay.
Okay? Pretty neat. So that's how you name it. All right?
You notice I can rename the file from here, delete it, copy it, cut it, perhaps paste it. And there's also the option to send to the desktop to create.
And that's what you were talking about. So create a shortcut, which is still right here. So you can send it to the desktop, create a shortcut, it's the same thing, okay? Then you can send it to the desktop. Once you hit it here, it's gonna take you there. It's gonna ask you where you wanna take it. To My Documents, My Computer, Desktop. It's gonna give you all of, you know, any of these, you know, where you can send it to, you know. Got that?
Create a shortcut, which will make it easy to reopen a file that won't be transcribed in a single sitting.
Any questions? No? All right. Well, that brings us to the end, guys, and what I want you to do is use this stuff, again, like I told y'all, you know, use this stuff over the break. You're gonna have 2 weeks, I mean a week, because we don't have class next week because of spring break. So I'm telling you, use this stuff. And if you get stuck, text me. Text me, email me, call me, you know, and if I'm not busy playing golf or I'm, you know, not busy, then, you know.
Are you taking vacation from your job next week?
Actually, we'll get to that in just a second, but do y'all have any questions about what we covered today?
I do, but I'll stick it after class.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, but somebody may have the same question.
Okay, well, I just wanted to practice with the, because mine is not coming up on the, what was the name of that?
Your what?
Just 1 second.
I have a question online, but I think it was something that I did, because
Yeah.
it's not showing my
The type
steno
over
anymore.
tracking.
What about it?
The type over tracking, mine's not coming up.
On the Alt-U?
Mhm.
Or the override and the insert?
Well, that one's also, it's still not coming up.
It's still not?
Just the
Okay,
insert, but not the override.
okay,
It's just not showing my steno, so I did something.
okay.
easy.
Anybody else have questions? No? All right. We'll see you guys in a couple of weeks.